Hi, fellow traders. I hope everybody had a great day today. Running a little late today, so I'm going to do a quick recap of the trades I took today. This morning started out really rocky. An accidental slip of the mouse got me in this too early. I had the montage set up and had my cursor sitting over the short or the sell button, but I've got a gaming keyboard and mouse, and instead of having the top, well, it does have the top right and left click button, but on the sides it has a couple buttons as well, and one of them I guess is programmed to work just like the left click button on the mouse. And my thumb I guess twitched or whatever when I was getting ready to grab the mouse to move it, and it actually put me in this position a lot earlier than I wanted to get in. But instead of getting out, I just kind of waited to see if it was going to play out. And just like all the other trades that's happened in the last couple of weeks that I'm short biased on, is setting up short from the open. We didn't really get a move down. This was the opening candle. We didn't really get a good move down before we pushed back and tested the resistance up here, and it went right up to the 20, kind of tapped it twice before it started to come down. Once we got under the VWAP and the 9, I went ahead and just added some more to the position so that I was in full. And this was planned. So I started to feel a little bit better about where this was going. The price action got a little bit iffy, because if you saw this pre-market, this thing moved down without any hesitation whatsoever. I mean, it was just beautiful price action, beautiful trading pre-market. But once it opened, it just went away. And then another thing that surprised me, the volume went away very quickly as well. But got here and made another mistake, which I guess was a fortunate mistake. But I was trying to put my order in down here around 118 was going to be my first cover here, and somehow I guess I didn't change the price when I was putting the limit order in, so it put it at I think 118.29 or something. Let's see, where was that? Yeah, put it at 118.29, and before I realized it, it actually had taken me out of had already covered this position. So that was a bad deal there. But it never did get to 118. I mean, actually not long after I accidentally covered, this thing pushed back up, and I ended up having to stop out for a loss. Even though this was a small gain, it wasn't really enough for me to just take this off at break even. It wouldn't have made much sense. So I just let the trade, work. Once we closed over the 20 here and the VWAP and everything, once it confirmed, it was time to get out. And you can see we made the move up and actually tapped this resistance 3 times. And I still had this stock on watch. Still had the chart up. So, once it tapped and rejected this 3rd time, I wasn't just going to get in. I waited until we got under VWAP and, took a small little trade here and made another error. The UPS, this trade was just, I guess this was just a a bad luck stock. You know, my brother-in-law works for UPS in Atlanta at the main or corporate or whatever. And I guess, you know, it's just bad luck for me trying to short this thing. But what happened was I accidentally left an order on and to cover a position, but I was already out, and it hit and got me long, and I ended up just taking it off. I waited for a minute and it didn't seem like it was going to do anything, so I just took it off, and sure enough we pushed all the way back to VWAP. So if I had just held on to it for a while, I would have actually made some money on it, but ended up negative almost $300 on this, probably with commissions right at $300. But it was just something that just didn't agree with me. You know, it started from an accidental mouse click, and it just kind of went downhill from there. So that was my deal on UPS. Probably shouldn't have touched it, you know, once I saw the huge move it made pre-market. Normally when stocks make those huge moves, it doesn't do much at the open. And if it does, it's only going to give you, you know, kind of a scalp type trade. So, you know, I kind of made a couple mistakes. One mistake is actually looking at taking this trade. I should have dismissed it to start with. But just one of those, you know, mistakes that you make at the beginning of the day, because you really get excited about a window of opportunity you see, but when you look at the big picture, it really doesn't look so good. And that's kind of what happened with UPS. So wasn't done with UPS. Oh, you can see this is a daily chart, and this is what I was looking at. You know, this huge gap down, and we were in this window right here that I thought, you know, we can make some money in. You know, maybe 1.5 or 2 points. You know, trading 300 shares, we should be pretty good. But, you know, it didn't quite work out that way. All right, so KEM is a stock that I should have never touched. I mean, never, ever, ever touched. I was talking about it before I went to lunch. I was like, you know, I'm going to get in this. It's probably going to go back and retest a little bit before we make it back down, but this is going to be the target. I'm thinking that we're going to get this during lunch. And so instead of me just sitting, relaxing, enjoying some good weather outside, I'm out there with my laptop, you know, watching the market, when I'm not supposed to do that. When I go to lunch and I leave my desk, I'm supposed to leave this alone for my lunch hour. I need to relax and just stay fresh. But for some reason, I set myself up not to do that, and got in this thing and ended up just stopping out because this thing, it just wasn't going anywhere. And then once it started to make the move, I got in, and when we started to turn around and come back, I got out. So, I mean, I did take, you know, some of the losses off of this, but still ended up, you know, over $230 loss on this trade. You know, the more I just was not making good decisions, you know, and it all started with one inadvertent mouse click, and it was just a downhill spiral, it seems like it set in. But I did get the right to ship. Baba was it today. It was on my watch this morning. You know, I had earnings, and you can see we made the push up. I don't typically trade VAVA at the open because it's too volatile. You can see the range that these candles have. There's no way I could have really traded this the way I like to trade. So what I did, I saw it coming down, kind of rested on VWAP, and I said I'm getting ready to go to lunch, and I don't want to miss this because I knew if we lost VWAP, we would probably get down to this 192.50 level, or ideally down here to the 20 day. This is the 20 from the daily chart right here that I have marked out. So, I held it through lunch, and coming out of lunch, we got the move. So I was able to cover some here, cover some here. Well, I actually covered here first, and then when we started to recover and push up, I started to see a shift in momentum. I'm watching level 2, and I'm watching time and sales. I'm merging the two together and trying to let it tell me a story. Because level 2 can be manipulated. We know that. So I'm looking to see if they're lining up. If what I see on level 2 is showing up on, the time and sales tape. And so watching that, I'm able to get a feel for a shift in momentum. And I saw that coming, and that's when I got out here. Got back in up here on this as we rejected, but ended up taking it all off because it looked like we were about to pull back. Again, I'm watching level 2 and time and sales. I'm looking for a change in momentum, and I saw that, so I went ahead and took it all off and knew that I could reset and get back in full and continue to trade this. So as this rejected the 20 up here, I waited till we got below the 9 and just worked it out. Here I got in and ended up stopping out because I felt we were turning around, going back up, and that's what we were doing. And I went ahead and got short here off the 20, and we finally made the big move down. Or not the big move down, but completed the move that I was looking for. So Baba really paid the bills today. Right under $1,200 once you take commissions off. So not bad at all. So this was the one that really, really paid the bills for me today. So the last trade we took was, this is the daily chart on Baba. You can see we had the big gap down, and this was the ultimate target right here, which was the 20 on the daily chart. And so we were talking about earnings. In class today, we started. I was trying to get a basic information, on earnings, how I look at these things, and why I feel when a stock has good earnings, it drops, and we get this big drop that we can make a ton of money on. I didn't get in this when I should have because I was in the class. We were actually doing the class, and I had a bad habit of glancing at the chart while I'm in class. Earnings hit. I saw this thing start to go, and I said I just had to take it. So you guys, they didn't get to see my entry in the class, but they did get to see, me manage it. And we did talk about, what I was looking for. We knew all along, I knew that this was going to go back up. This did have good earnings. Everything looked good on it. Yeah, this was probably priced in, but there's a reason we get these huge sell-offs, and they don't happen on every ticker, but on certain tickers, you're gonna see this every time. So I didn't get to play this the way I wanted it to. This is the way I wanted to play it. Where is the chart? There it is. The Facebook, the way we traded it the other day. Wanted to catch this big wash down, and then get back in and work it some more. This one, I was distracted because I was in the class. We were in the middle of teaching class, and just kind of made some errors here. Trying to catch it and talk and explain what I'm doing all at the same time. But still came out with some pretty decent money. No complaints on it. This could have easily been a huge winner here if I had, been able to, click the mouse when we got down here like we did yesterday. But all well and good. We're going to look for, hopefully next Thursday, we're going to have a couple of good earnings plays. I'm going to take you through the whole scenario in class. How I find the earnings plays that I want to look at for this potential. How I filter through them, the things I look at. What fundamental analysis do I use in order to give me a good idea, a good picture of, where this is going to go. Once you have the information and you understand what goes on in the market, you're going to be able to make good decisions. To some it may look like gambling, but once you teach them and they learn it, they realize that we do have an edge, when it comes to these things. And, this is what I was trading off of. So after the losses, we ended up with 888.67. Not bad. I'll take that, especially with the crazy morning I had, just messing up my trades. But it was good to get Baba and get a nice, safe, trade that was following the trend and, make it happen. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is SCG. I've been shorting this ever since we gapped up. You guys should know the story by now because I think I've told it 3 or 4 times. About this being a local company and they're in trouble, and then Dominion Energy is agreeing to buy them out. But once Dominion's earnings posted on the 29th, this stock tanked. And so I'm like, something's kind of going on here. So I got back short today, and I set my first target, right around at 39. And, sure enough, it hit it. I'm looking for 37s tomorrow. But, sure enough, it hit my first target today. Yeah, it's only a point, but this is in a real volatile state right now. And this stock can change on a dime. We can get a gap up like this tomorrow because news came out today that our friends over at the FTC, or Federal Trade Commission, granted early termination of antitrust waiting period for the merger between Dominion Energy and Scanner. So this is probably going to pop this tomorrow. So now I'm gonna have to get up and be ready early to deal with this. If we're gonna get a pop pre-market. But this is why I'm taking profit in short intervals. I have small targets, but this is what I've been working. Really since September. I've been working the same stock. So as long as it continues to pay, we're going to continue to work it. So I locked up half the position I had. So I got 530.41 locked in. That's already locked in and booked. So we'll see what happens with this tomorrow. I'm keeping real close eye on the news, real close eye on what Dominion is doing, because my thesis was we were going to sell this off into the lows so that these guys can buy this up, because the target share price on this is going to be like $55, if the merger goes through. So don't want to be caught, when it starts to make that move. But that was my day today. So combined, we booked 14.19.08, which is not a bad day. Considering, how I messed up the morning. But we're looking to start Friday clean. Be patient and bring back that sniper-like focus and mentality so we can nail it and move on to the next victim. So that's going to be the focus tomorrow. You guys have a great night or a great evening or morning, depending on where you are, and I will see you guys first thing tomorrow.